Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Hot Jobs. Rue, thanks for joining me this week.
Hey, everybody.
Before we get started, everyone, I just want to thank our sponsor, Heritage Roofing and Construction. They are one of Texas's top residential and commercial roofing companies, and they serve the area of San Antonio, Austin, Waco, just to name a few. We also have some incredible opportunities with Heritage, both as a skill bridge and direct hire opportunities. So if you head over to our website, which is up above our heads, hiremilitary.us, and head over to our job board and type in Heritage, you can see all of those opportunities if you're in the area and interested in roles with Heritage. So as we get started today, guys, as always, if you are joining us and you are a job seeker, go ahead and throw what type of role and where you are looking to do that role in the comments. We're also going to be asking for some other participation later today, so make sure to drop some comments. And we're always happy to take questions as we get started with some of our career navigation search advice. So we wanted to focus today as we head to the back half of the year, which is crazy to say, because I feel like the winter is endless and summer kind of goes by in a blink of an eye. But we are now in the back half of 2026. And in the back half of the year, there's always a lot more holidays as we kind of head to the fall and towards quarter four. But just outside that, obviously, we just had 4th of July. And we know how disruptive people being out of the office, whether it's for vacation or for holidays, can be in the job search. So we wanted to make sure that we provide our listeners and anyone out there who is job searching some advice on how to navigate this.
Yeah, it's a tricky thing. You always, when you're looking for a job, you're always thinking like, hey, I'm the most important person in my world. Which is not so much the case with different employers, recruiters, job boards, things like that.
Yeah.
So I can tell you that when I was going through my job search, which lasted 14 months, it started to drain on me mentally. When the second Veterans Day went by and I didn't have a job being a veteran, I wasn't very happy about it. And through working with a ton of different recruiters, being a vice president of HR in a company and going through the hiring process all the way from the lowest level to the C-suite, I saw a lot of patterns in how people would get back to individuals, where the lags and the ebbs and the flows of processing, whether that be through HR or through the hiring process, and how fast or slow that would happen. And there's a lot of things you can do to help keep focused, not get burnt out, and have some peace of mind and sanity for both yourself and your family, if that's the case.
Yeah, I think you bring up a really good point. There is a mental health aspect of this. So we want to give people some strategical, tactical advice, but also some tips on how to preserve your mental energy and your mental health during this process, as we know it can be really draining, like you said.
I think it's important I know those of you out there that are searching for jobs, you're keeping a log of, hey, I applied to this job. The link is this. It was on this date. This is the person I talked to. Keep the cells going and keep adding things on there. One of those things is, communication reminders. When was the last time I spoke to them? What was it we agreed upon prior to the end of our last meeting that we had, or our last email contact? And the more often that you can put that response or that connection on yourself, the more control you have over that dialogue. If you put it on, oh, well, you'll get back to me when it's done, it's going to take a long time.
Yeah, I think you bring up a great point. During your conversation with either your POC, your recruiter, whoever, one of the biggest things that I see people not do is ask for what is the next step and when can I hear from you? Literally just asking the question, what are the next steps in the process and what is a reasonable expectation for me to hear back? And I think it could be eye-opening for a couple of reasons. Again, I think we assume that we and the role that we are applying for is the most important, and maybe it is not to the company or recruiter. So they may hey, this is a role that we're looking to fill in the next 4 or 5 weeks, and we have interviews scheduled for the next 2 and 3 weeks, so we will not make a decision before that. That's a much different answer than, yeah, we're trying to make a decision, in the next 10 days with a written offer out at that point. So set your expectations correctly by asking good questions.
Yeah, and there's a certain amount of you don't want to burn yourself out with too many too fast.
Yeah.
Set a pace for yourself. A lot of times, one of the notes that we wrote down was, the social tax. You need to have some type of catch when people contact you and are like, hey, how's the job search going? Your spouse, that was a rough one for me. I was like, obviously, I would update you if there was something important or something that should merit. But you're going to run into people, friends are going to check on you in your conversations that might be drumming up work for you. You're bringing up, yeah, I was at this company and, whatever happened or whatever positive thing or the transition that they made that you had to leave. You need to have something that's kind of like positively scripted so that the person who could know somebody is willing to, forward you off to them to get you the possible connection that you needed to get the job. I found myself in interviews talking about what happened at my old company because it went out of business. And one day my wife was on the other side of the screen doing some things. And when she was done, she told me, hey, do you know how your face looks when you're talking about what happened? And I was like, no. And she's like, well, it looks like somebody I wouldn't want to work with. And I'm like, So then I had to lighten that approach up. And it's good to check in with a good validating source to do that type of thing, to make sure you're not going off the dark end, not the deep end, but the dark end.
So having that scripted answer can do two things, right? It can help reframe and summarize, maybe why you're searching or why you departed your last opportunity, but it also helps save your mental energy, your mental health in repeating a story, right? Or maybe the story is emotional, and maybe having that script helps keep some of those emotions in check. Yeah.
And set like hard boundaries for yourself. It's important to exercise. That's good for your mental health. It's important to kind of get into a rhythm. I think we all know that chaos is a little bit harder to manage than, hey, from 5:30 to 7:30, I'm going to go work out. From 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock, I'm going to respond to any emails that are job related. From 10 to 12, I'm going to look at new jobs that might be available and then prioritize those. Then I'm going to, from 12 to 2, I'm going to work on customized resumes and offer letters for those specific roles. I'm going to see who it is I know in those organizations and where those connections are, and see if there are people that can put me in touch with them. And then the rest of the day, I'm going to rest my brain. I'm going to do some chores. I'm going to walk the dog. I'm going to get outside. I'm going to get away from this thing, this computer. And I'm going to let my brain recharge so I can be the best person when I have an interview.
I think that's great. I think a schedule helps keep yourself in check, right? You're not overdoing it. I know before we jumped on, we talked about how job boards don't refresh like a social media feed, right? So check it on certain days of the week, kind of flag the opportunities that align with your goals and your skill set, spend, your energy on that, on tailoring your resume, on looking at connections, on networking in this space, but not refresh every hour. That's not the way job boards work. And you need to preserve your energy, both mentally and physically.
And you got to think in time and space also. And we talk about the holidays, but that's your battle rhythm each day, but you need to be looking at the week and the month, and know if one, the communication you had with somebody, or hey, this holiday time is coming up, they're most likely going to be off. You want to work for a company that kind of shuts down around the holidays, because that's good work culture. That means they're letting their people recharge, and you have to mentally set up that expectation of, if we're going into the holiday season of November and December, I honestly can't even think about the possibility of a job until mid to late January, because of the number of approval authorities that are in the process, and them taking vacation, their kids taking vacation, them having to cover, people are getting sick. There's a lot more that happens in those colder months than the warmer ones, with the exception of, summer vacations and things like that, which are less cyclical, but more sporadic.
I agree. I think looking at the calendar, think of it as a zoom in and a zoom out. And I say this to our team all the time. Hey, looking ahead, this is what's coming. Your follow-ups and your reach outs should be in this block, and then follow up here. But don't waste your time on the day before 4th of July weekend, right? Trying to get an answer out of someone. You're only going to double your work by doing it now and redoing it later. So, reach out early and then follow up after the holiday. But for our own mental energy, use your time wisely. But I think that's great, especially looking at the calendar holistically, knowing that, like you said, there are things that you expect people to not be reachable, whether that's their own personal vacation, if that's holidays. But I think that's a good way to look at it.
And it's important to be understanding of their side, not snooty reply email, or, oh, hey, this position's been filled. And you're like, well, thanks for telling me. It's 4 months later. You never know what position might come up, and you never know when that person might hear something through one of their contacts and be like, I saw this resume of this one person, and I think they would be a good choice for it. Forward it over. Hey, I sent your resume to this, like it or not, blah, 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 kind of go from there. But you never know who could be getting you your next job. So always try to keep them positive.
I will quote Kristen Savvy, who is a friend of our organization, and she's just a lovely, lovely human who continuously posts, you're only like one connection away from your next opportunity. And I always think about that. So if you're out there, Kristen, thank you for that little piece of advice. And if you don't follow Kristen Savvy, she's lovely. So I would highly recommend. I see a comment here, Rue, that I think will resonate with you, and maybe some advice for Adam.
Been applying for HR jobs since retirement 5 years ago with no luck. First thing I would say is get out of HR. No, I'm just kidding. It is a huge
But maybe
pain.
there's an HR adjacent role that maybe you're not looking at would my initial thought. Go ahead, Rue.
That totally resonates with me, Adam. I would say there's a lot of factors into why you might be having a problem. What I'm seeing right from your name, I haven't clicked on your profile, but I don't see a bunch of letters after your name that you're certified in all this stuff that I honestly don't believe is needed to do HR. You need one thing to do HR. You got to want to take care of people, period. That feeds all those other things. And a good HR officer is going to figure out how to take care of somebody. They're not just going to go, oh, I learned that when I was getting my SHRM, and I'm going to, here's the answer. Because if you think every single person is covered under that same type of answer, no, every single person is an individual target that you've got to look at differently. Reach out to me directly, Adam. I would love to actually talk to you and see if there's some connection and or help. That goes for anybody on this channel. If you see me connected to somebody that you're talking with and working with, please reach out. And I have no issues doing a cold intro to them.
And, that's another great point, Rue, is that a lot of times folks like us have access to resources. Us and other organizations that are nonprofits out there might have access to resources to help with resume and interview prep. So it doesn't hurt to reach out and connect, right? That's part of networking. And again, we're happy to share the resources that we have.
It was the biggest fail of my last 2 roles. I was working so hard in what I was doing, I was not networking at all. And when it was over, I didn't even know that that was a thing. Like, I hated LinkedIn. I was like, it's just social media. I'd come from a high side secret job, or we didn't do that. And so it was like, I had to build it all from scratch. Now I'm helping people build it all from scratch the right way. And it is definitely, they're getting more traction than I did coming out.
So learn from our lessons, right? We're here to tell the tale.
John, I like your feistiness. Yes, it can do a thing, but is it needed? I could find who knows how many people that have one and are terrible. I could find people that don't, and they're superstars. I'm saying it shouldn't need to be a thing. It shows that you put effort into your career in some form or fashion, but there are other ways to put effort into your career in some form or fashion. You may be just shoveling the whole time, making life better for people, and don't have time to get away and do it. But you still could be getting OJT that would help and cover the same bases. But I'm glad you got it.
And we have this discussion about all kinds of certifications and in any sector, right? It's not always HR, but do I get this certification? And the answer is always, it depends, right? Is it going to be a barrier to entry if you don't have it? If it's a requirement for the roles that you are seeking, then probably. Will it help you do your job better? It's honestly hard to say. We don't know. Depends.
I would also say that if you are at the 100K employee realm, you're not hunting for a job on LinkedIn or applying. Your network is so big. You're into your next job. When you're out of your next job, somebody's already got their eye on you, and or you have a network that you can just instantly pull from. It's different, but it's also important to stay connected to people.
If there's anything we've kind of missed in this topic, where it's about holidays, kind of looking at your calendar, if you're a job seeker, expectations for follow-up, anything in this realm, go ahead and drop your question in the comments. And if we have time after we talk about some roles, we will get to it, but we're happy to answer questions. And remember, this is recorded. We usually go back and look at all of the comments and see if there's anything that we didn't answer, or send us a request to connect. So that would be my homework to all of you out there. All right, because we are going to talk about some jobs today, I'm going to start with SkillBridge. Yay. I have our TI flyer up here. So this is our SkillBridge role with Texas Instruments. You guys know that I love these roles for a couple of reasons. Actually, I had my TI meeting today. I always love talking to the team there, who have been great collaborators. I think, for me, why I talk about these roles so frequently is because I know firsthand how invested TI is into hiring transitioning service members and veterans. They talk about their initiatives. And I think what I love, again, about this is that they are continuously looking to serve this community better. They have a great program. I've seen a lot of SkillBridge programs. I think TI has a great one. And they are continuously looking at even little things on how they can make it better, how they can set people up for success. So the role that we have currently is for the equipment technician. We are looking for folks who are mechanically inclined. So aviation mechanic, machinist mate are some of the ones that come to mind first, only because those have been our most recent SkillBridge interns at TI. But these folks are working in the fabrication, manufacturing labs. So we definitely need some people who are good with their hands, good with tools. This is an awesome opportunity at TI, both at the Dallas area and Lehigh, Utah. We also have Portland, Maine. If you prefer to stay somewhere a little cooler and on the East Coast, that is an option as well. These roles, they're accepting all the way through next year. So I have someone who's already been accepted for 2027. So if you feel like this is an opportunity you would like to explore, you can go ahead and scan that QR code if you are on a computer right now. But of course, this is on our website under our job board, under the SkillBridge section, that you can apply directly there for either location. So, of course, we always mention as well that TI gives you a living stipend. So if you're an active duty service member who is transitioning and looking for a skill bridge in the mechanical field, I would highly recommend checking out this one. And even if you just want to have a conversation and learn a little bit more, I'm happy to do that as well.
And their spouses.
Yeah, and they also have a program that can help military spouses so that they are able to be employed by TI as well. So they have a program that will at least get your partner an interview. This doesn't have to be for an equipment tech role. This can be for any role. This can be for administrator, payroll, finance. They will at least get an interview. So if you don't know, I'm here to tell you that it is challenging to break into the TI family. Many people are promoted from within, which from a company standpoint is awesome. Is that they promote and they hire the people that have been with the company. That makes sense, right? From a company perspective. But as someone trying to break in, again, this is another reason why the skill bridge is great, because you have a foot in the door. It is hard to break in. But with this program, the partner or spouse can get an interview. They'll be guaranteed an interview for a position. They're not guaranteed the position, but they will at least be considered for a role at TI so that there is this like cohesion of the family unit, which I think, again, they are looking to do right by this population. So I can't say enough positive things about them.
Yeah, they really want to take care of veterans.
They do. And they have an internal veteran organization. So they're paired with a mentor, which I think is just a great initiative. They don't have to do any of this. They want to. That's the culture. And again, we just had a call this morning and we were talking about how can we make this even 1% better? We don't have any huge fires. We're not like solving big problems, but we're like, wonder what could make this experience for service members just a little bit better. And I think that makes a big difference. Yeah. So the next role I'm going to talk about is a direct hire role. So you do not need to be active duty to apply. However, it is preferred that you have military service experience. This is a senior business analyst role. So again, before I talk about the role itself, all of the positions that I'm talking about are on our website. You can get there, hiremilitary.us. You can also get there through our LinkedIn page, Googling Tenova Hire Military. They're on our job board. They're broken out by SkillBridge and direct hire. So I'm going to be talking about the senior business analyst at EndRun. This is a position in Phoenix, Arizona. This is not a remote role. If someone puts it in the comments and say, can I be considered remote? I'm going to say no, because this is not a remote role. You need to be in Arizona. It is not 100% in office, but there is some in office required and a little bit of travel. Okay. So this person is going to be driving client success in what I think of as like three main areas. Okay. Client support, project management, and startup development. Those three. They are looking for someone that has DOW contracting experience or military experience. They are going to be looking how to apply the data to their product, as well as to continue to drive business forward. I have all of the details at hiremilitary.us. They are looking for someone who's been in a similar role. And it's interesting. Similar role would include someone that has either a data analytics background. It would be great if you knew some type of coding. That would be very helpful, as well as either passion for tech, interest in tech, but also DOW experience. I cannot emphasize that enough. That is where EndRun is focused. And so I really strongly feel that that is essential. You'd be surprised how many people do not read the essential part. Or maybe you wouldn't.
Maybe they think they're going to get by with their good looks. I don't know.
I asked some tough questions in the interviews, so probably not.
I do want to point out James or Erwin James, his go by name's James Chapman. Make sure you guys are checking out the chat. He's got 3 PM roles in Hawaii of all places. It sounds terrible. Terrible.
Wow, sounds terrible, James. Where in Hawaii, I wonder?
You can't leave.
Does it matter?
Yeah, no, that's not happening.
Doesn't matter. Okay, Bruce says it doesn't matter as long as it's Hawaii. Let's see. Any other questions, comments that we can highlight today? Someone mentioned Michelle, but I don't. Oh, here we go. We'll put Michelle up there. Absolutely. Yeah, we're always here to help. See, Michelle's always fishing in the comments. See, guys, we're paying attention. So when you ask for help, we're really looking at the comments and paying attention. So we're here. I see, Mike. I see you're watching today. He's putting comments in here. But
Would
I like
anybody
that
like
he's.
to talk about Mike since he's not on this call?
But he is in the comments answering questions and doing what he does, which is looking up your LinkedIn page and critiquing it with
Yeah.
love, of course. But
Yeah.
that's where he's at.
Powerful resource.
Very powerful resource. I actually I got an email or a direct message on LinkedIn about like someone asking who wrote my bio, and I haven't had time to go look at it. So Mike, I know that you're going to now go look at it, and I promised to update it this week. I don't even know what it says, to be honest. I know that's probably
Did they say who wrote your bio, or did they say
Yeah.
who wrote your bio?
Well, as a direct message, I'm not sure, but I took it as a critique, not like, man, what a great bio. It was like, who wrote this? So now I got to go look at it. And that comment just reminded me. So I will do that as my homework and report back. But I would like to give our audience who are listening a little bit of homework. Brew, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, I can grade.
Okay, great. So for anyone who has joined us today, I want you to either put a comment here, or if you're feeling like extra credit, you are going to send one of us a direct message on how you navigate your job search around holidays. If that means asking for reasonable expectations on follow-up, turning off your phone on Saturdays and Sundays, only, protecting your mental energy by taking a vacation. I think that's the other thing. When you're job seeking, you're wondering, can I take time with my family? Maybe if it's a long weekend, can I turn this off for a little bit? And I would highly recommend that you do take a break. But how do you navigate the holiday time, whether that's end of the year or as we get these little holidays, right? Where we have 4th of July and 6 weeks later, then we have Labor Day. Then kids are back in school, and chaos of a different flavor starts, I will say. So you can put a comment here, or you can direct message us how you navigate the holiday job search.
I definitely think that transparency with your family on what it is you have going on is going to preemptively cut off a lot of future problems. If it starts to wane, if it goes too far. That's probably my biggest takeaway is I didn't do a very good job of communicating it. And so then when it would come up, it was like a sledgehammer rather than, me chiseling out a statue.
Yeah. I like that analogy of the sledgehammer. So that is my ask to all of you. We'll be checking our DMs. So anything else before we sign off today, Rue? Thanks for joining me.
I think that's it. I'm just ready to hear the intro exit song.
We got one already. Here we go. Disconnect and spend time with family. Perfect. I think that's great. Come back refreshed. Come back refreshed by taking a break. Thank you, Angelica, for your answer. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us today. Remember that we're here every Wednesday at the same time. You can continue to put comments on this feed. This will be recorded and posted so we can go back and take a look at your responses. But thank you so much for joining us. And of course, visit all of our opportunities up at our website, and we'll see you next week.
Hit it.
See y'all.